cream.
It occurs to me once again that I still not had. Oh, what's going on with that wrestling there? I still have not added John's name to the intro video that we play. And so I do feel some modicum of regret about that.
Especially because by the time you fix it, he'll be fired. So
again.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Benzo. Hello and welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon. I am your host, Michael Deebs. It is the 12th of August, 2022. We are all living in hell, and you're here to join us. Speaking of joining us, I am joined by co-host Danko Suvin from the Instagram handle at DankTheLuz. Also joined by John, the producer, who is mortal form is trapped in the ether right now because he forgot to charge his camera.
It takes a
because
lot
we like
of
to
batteries.
average one fuck up a week, don't we, John?
I mean, that's how you know I'm here, for one.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, do you know how much electricity it takes to take a 4K foot and beehole photos?
How much? How much?
Do you know how much it takes? Because I don't think you do.
0.1 amp hours.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's not very much at all.
Yeah. and getting your exposed beehole and feet in the same frame, also difficult.
That's not that hard. I do that a lot.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with electricity.
You just kind of like shape yourself up like a baby, which makes it hotter anyway.
That's not good.
Just fold them legs up like they're gonna be anyway when I'm starting and done with you.
Yeah. Cool. Well, with that out of the way, John, how are you doing this week, sir?
I'm fine. Just fine.
Oh wow, that's
my
like
whole
a
life's
passive
not on
aggressive
fire.
fine, or
yeah, like my whole life's on fire, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Moving on, Danko, how are you?
A little fixated right now on trying to figure out if I'm well endowed enough to, in fact, like if John's feet are like, he's doing a not crisscross applesauce. What do you call it when you're sitting on the floor and your feet are touching? Like butterflies, that kind of thing. And so if his feet are pressed up against his gooch and or his butthole, if I'm endowed enough to be able to make that work, and the answer is no, but I am preoccupied with the question. So
yeah, well, I mean, I've got size 11.5 feet and
ladies,
a badonkadonk.
Ladies.
How big are your feet, Mike?
I don't have feet.
What size?
Man.
Like wait.
Yeah, I don't have feet. And that's
that explains a lot.
Yeah, that's why you'll never see any pictures of them on the internet.
Yeah, they're just dicks.
Yeah, we got pictures of all the other parts of Mike's anatomy, just never his feet.
Yeah. I got two little pegs at the end of my legs.
That's pretty cute. I played through Cyberpunk recently, and I mean it's stable enough. It was an okay game.
I'm just being shitty.
Yeah.
When it came out,
to be fair though, that's what I was doing in my head the whole time I was playing it. Where it's like, this game is the broken game. This game is the broken game. This game is the broken game. But the one thing that was the most distracting to me in that whole game, apart from how poorly optimized it was, is the fact that occasionally you come up against enemies that are real scary because they're full of all these cybernetic enhancements, but the problem is that they're also fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
because their feet are just these little spikes that point into the ground, and that's not anyway. That's how I imagine you are.
No, that's exactly same
Two
thing.
little cybernetic peg legs.
Yep.
Can you get cybernetic peg legs in the game?
No.
You can get all sorts of implants, but no, I don't think you can ever look like you have peg legs.
No,
that's really the biggest oversight in the game.
Biggest turn off.
Yeah, that's totally true. What I hate about feet is that they're not phallic enough. So but to be honest, I'm doing fine.
How are you on that question? I'm okay, man. It's been a long week. I did a lot of work in the sun.
I'm not okay.
A lot of
work in the sun.
Yeah.
No, so we're bragging now, huh? You spent time in the sun.
Yeah.
You got to be in the sun.
It was kind of like working in an oven. Actually, it's this area of that my job has decided to develop, where it's like white walls. It's like an outdoor sort of section to a place, and the walls are like really like bright white, and there's no cover on top of it, so the sun shines in and like bounces off of all the walls. It's like 120 degrees in this area. And I keep telling the project manager, like, hey, maybe you should put some shade sails in here or something, because nobody's going to want to sit in this outdoor area anytime during the summer, which is when you want them to be outside enjoying the grill section. But no.
And they're trying to sell this installation, right?
Yeah. So I got fucking cooked this week, basically. But the viewer may not be able to see because I don't use a high quality enough camera, but parts of my head are peeling because I got sunburned. So
Yeah,
I'm fine. The sun wants to kill me.
Yeah, you look really red.
Yeah, you did that last week. And
did I? Did I do the same racism last week?
Yeah, because we were talking about how the flags weren't like red, or you were talking about how the flags weren't red, and I was like, yeah, they're red, and then you were like, you're red, and I was like, whoa.
Oh, like red flags, like relationship red flags.
No, the communist red flag.
Oh yeah, the orange ones that were
really poor quality.
When you have a non-white friend, and I have one. You have to take advantage of that.
That's true.
So one of us are your friend and the other's your enemy?
Yeah.
No, just both of you are like half friends of mine.
Oh, okay. So together we make one full. and because of our mixed race heritage,
I didn't want
we only make one colored friend.
I didn't want to explain the whole joke, but
No,
anyway, how are you, Mike?
Good. Someone's
already answered.
Yeah, I did already answer. He just wanted attention taken away from his racism.
No.
I'm not running for Congress yet, so I need to lay low with the racism.
Cool. So let's go ahead and go to the first link. It's been a while since I've done like movie reviews at the top, and I figure we do one of them real quick.
What movie did we watch this week? Oh my god, we watched two.
The Hulu original.
No. I watched 2 movies this week. I watched a lot of movies this week, actually.
Okay.
The second one I didn't even watch this week, but I never got a chance to endorse it on the show, so I want to do that. So Prey. I watched Prey. Watched it in the Comanche dub, which was a little bit clunky here and there, but fine enough. A very good Predator movie. So take it to mean that it's very good for a Predator movie. Which, the first one,
hey, the first two Predator movies were great movies.
Second one pretty good. But some of the magic's been lost. I think you're not surprised by what the Predator can do anymore, sort of.
He does punch a fucking CGI bear that looks like shit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The animal CGI could have used a little work, but you get what they're going with, so whatever.
Yeah, that's what I like in movies, is where I can shrug and say, I get what you were going for, which is why most of my favorite movies are sock puppets.
All right. One thing that has popped up around this movie is that the protagonist is a female. And so cue lots of angry nerds who have never touched a woman saying, "Oh my God, it's so unrealistic that she was able to beat the Predator." When like Danny Glover beat the Predator at one point, like, come on, guys.
My hypertension.
You're right. He was just spraying blood at him. Yeah, that's my favorite thing about so much of the like Mary Sue complaints. And sure, I mean that is a convention that exists that sucks, but it's not nearly as common as people make it out to be. But the especially in instances like this where the argument is a girl couldn't beat the Predator because she's weaker than a man. Like me, who could definitely kill the Predator.
Right. No, exactly. Red Letter Media actually made a good point on this subject, which is that beating the Predator has never been about being strong.
That's true. It's been about rubbing your body in mud, and flexing your shit, and looking real sexy.
It's about outsmarting the Predator. And that's what she does in this film. She outsmarts the Predator. I mean, she even gets her shit kicked a couple of times. Not even by the Predator, but sometimes by the Predator a little bit.
Just by CGI deer and birds.
Yeah, right. Like
and squirrels and shit.
But so I wanted to bring up two other movies that I've watched recently because I need to watch.
Oh, it's a triple feature.
Well, I'm not gonna give reviews on these, but I watched The Gray Man and no, John, go back. We're not ready for that.
I watched that one. I watched that one. Let's talk about that one.
We're not. But so I watched two other movies that are action movies called The Gray Man. And Carter. I
did not see that one.
Yeah. Don't bother because it's 2 hours of like, oh my God, please fucking stop this.
I mean, that's approximately why I watched The Gray Man. I mean, it wasn't but 2.5 hours.
That's a much finer example.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. And it's way shorter. Carter just drags on forever where you're like, okay, we get it. He can fight everything all the time. It's great. Please stop the movie.
That's
cool. But nobody has complained about these two gentlemen in these movies being able to perform absolutely outrageous like feats of human strength that nobody could ever fucking do. Like the Gray Man gets hit by a fucking car and then gets up and like karate chops a bunch of people to death and shit. Like he gets blown up at one point and is still like able to like pull off headshots just at a moment's notice. It's a little bit
almost
weird
like movies are fucking fantasy.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that, and then it's bizarre to me that everyone's freaking out because like, girl in Prey, I forget her name, pulls off a mild stunt or two, like backflipping off of a tree, which I've seen people do on YouTube, so it can't be that hard, right?
I mean, it's hard to believe that a woman would be able to fight an interstellar giant mandible faced monster with laser guns on its shoulders and arms who can turn invisible and jump 30 feet in the air. I mean, it's just the
problem is the woman,
part
not
of that is
the
woman.
Exactly.
Not the aliens.
So I would recommend watching Prey. If you like the original Predator movie, it's a good
and you do if you're listening to this. If you don't like it, then turn this off. Right now.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get out of my bedroom unless you respect the Predator. By the way, do you want to see my iguana?
So let's go to the next movie, and I'm glad you watched it. I think I probably told you to watch it at some point, but I don't think you watched it because I told you to.
No, I did not watch this one. I said I watched The Gray Man.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna recommend this movie to you.
Really? It looks so fucking bad.
It really did look bad, and that's originally why I started watching it.
All right,
you know
Black
me,
Phone, huh?
Yeah, you know me. I watch movies that are bad because I hate myself.
You and me
I watched
both,
this.
baby.
I started this movie, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be dog shit, and it was actually surprisingly really good.
Okay, I mean, I keep hearing that, and it's incomprehensible.
It is mind-boggling, and I'm here to preach to that truth. Yeah, no, the Black Phone is good. I'm gonna try not to spoil it or anything like that, but you're not gonna be scared too much, of course, because no movie is actually scary unless you're like a child, I think.
Hereditary still fucking freaks me out.
It's
I don't know.
spoopy, I guess, but it's not like
that shit did weird things
not
to my
like,
brain.
oh, I'm gonna have trouble sleeping tonight, spoopy or anything like that. Like,
yeah, no, I guess I didn't. Like, I almost did. Like, it got me that close. Like, I was sitting in a dark room and thinking, like, oh my
man,
gosh,
it would suck if a naked blue guy with his penis out was standing in the doorway or something.
No, I was thinking more like, oh my god, how terrifying would it be if my mother existed and was but
go on.
No, go on.
Okay, so Black Phone, actually a very good movie. It's set I think late 70s, early 80s is where I would place it.
The scary time.
Yeah, and
it's our contemporary spooky time.
It's kind of more of a coming of age story. Also goes into and you wouldn't maybe expect this, but the villain really isn't shit. And like most of what it's focusing on is subjects like child abuse, living with parents who are abusers of children and stuff like that. Kind of turns the paranormal aspect of it on its head a little bit. The villain isn't really like the paranormal entity here. So pretty interesting film. If you got like a quick eye, you'll notice like a lot of setup that like ends up being revealed later on, but like if you didn't notice it, then it's like, oh fuck, where did that come from? But then like if you rewatch it, you go like, oh, they actually made a bunch of little hints to this sort of stuff here. So actually like really well written, really well executed. I recommend it. I recommended it to our friend Charon's Nightmare. And he was like, "Oh, I thought that was
another bald bearded guy."
Yeah, another bald bearded guy. And then when he watched it, he was like, "Oh, holy shit, that was great! I didn't expect that payoff." And I was like, "Yeah, man, right?"
Okay.
So
check it out. I'll check it
Black
out.
Phone.
I've been trying to bask more in the loneliness of watching movies and not seeing people. So
yeah, there you go.
I mean, I could watch movies with people, but that seems like a waste.
Yeah, right.
Do you have another movie that you want to talk about? Because I actually saw one recently that I would like to mention.
Yeah, go ahead. Make John look it up too, because he's the producer.
There you go. Spiderhead.
Oh my gosh.
It's not like it's all one word. And it's a Netflix original with Chris Hemsworth, which immediately makes it sound like it's going to be trash. Yeah. And you would be 30% correct.
Okay.
About that fact. Based off of a short story by the same guy that wrote Lincoln in the Bardo. I forget his name because I'm an idiot. But it's the movie is essentially about a prison where people are given different drugs to experiment on the way that they interact with one another. They fall in love, they perform violence, whatever. And the first 70% of the movie is actually really fun, I think, and interesting. And then the last like fucking 20 minutes of it are the most just nightmarish garbage. It's so fucking bad. It's unbelievable. And I haven't read the short story, but which is I think is called like Escape from Spiderhead or something like that. But it fucking sucks, and I need someone to talk to me about this movie. So if you've seen it,
I'll give it a view at some point, and
there you go.
And agree with you or disagree with you, and then we'll fight it out, and we'll send each other butthole pictures or whatever.
There you go. But like expecting very little from it at first, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. This is fun. But then, there was a weird tipping point where then remembering that this is written by the person it's written by, and being like, oh, I should actually expect more from this movie. And it precisely at that moment, the movie falls apart entirely on its own, even independent of that realization. So it's like bending a wire back and forth until it snaps.
Which
yeah,
we've all done.
We've all done that. We all
Probably.
were in. Oh no, you were homeschooled.
Shut up. Fuck you.
Mic drop.
I work with wires all day. Fuck you.
No, but that's like a traditional way of explaining, kind of real elementary rules of the world to kids is you bend a wire back and forth.
Look, children, a man is a lot like a wire, and if you keep bending him back and forth and putting stress on him, one day he's going to snap. And speaking of
that's
snapping,
what your science teacher really means, but it's not what he says.
Speaking of a man snapping, John, let's go to the next link.
That would be this one.
That's the one, yeah. So cool ad for the black
Ethan
phone
Hawke black phone streaming only on Peacock. Oh, that's why I'm never gonna watch it. Never mind.
Well, I mean, you could just pirate it like I did. I mean,
I'm not an immoral person.
Sure, man. Yeah, that's immorality. Man who fired nail gun at FBI building called for violence on Truth Social in days after Mar-a-Lago search. So some of you may have heard about the FBI raid on Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago little what do you call it, ranch resort, yes. Which, mind you, really the raid part is being played up too much because like he had notice, his lawyer was present while they were going through all this shit. So like it wasn't like they just kicked down the door and stormed in or anything. Like this was a planned event. So like bad on the media for calling it a raid. Like they should have just been like, hey, the FBI told Donald Trump that they're gonna show up, and then they showed up because that's how they keep appointments. And that happened. But ever since then, the right wing has been stealing all of my talking points, which is defund the intelligence agencies. We live in a police state nightmare. All this other sort of junk, and of course they don't mean it because they just want their own police state nightmare. But it's like really offensive to me that they're trying to act like they're spearheading the distaste for the intelligence agencies that I've held in my heart for many a year now.
It just kind of sounds like you're becoming a right winger.
Yeah,
that's what it is. They're not co-opting my left wing views. I'm actually a right winger from way back.
Look, the Overton window moved around me. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Steven Crowder is now flanking me from the left. It's a real tough spot to be in.
I mean, being flanked by him at all is a little.
Yeah. So, anyways, this guy, Ricky Schiffer, goes into Cincinnati. There we go. It's in the. Thank God words are on the screen. So he goes into an FBI office in Cincinnati, and he tries firing a nail gun at the bulletproof glass in the building.
Well, it's bulletproof.
Yeah, which is the joke I made in a post recently, which is that an FBI agent sitting at a computer typing, yeah, man, I've totally tried it out like 100 times. Nail guns work on bulletproof glass. It's bulletproof, not nail proof. But this guy tried to break through bulletproof glass with a nail gun, It didn't work because it turns out impacts are the same. And bulletproof glass, by the way, guys, you just need to shoot it more. That's really how it works. It's not like regular glass where you shoot it once and it breaks. You gotta shoot it lots of times and it breaks. It's really false advertising.
It was invincible.
Yeah, it's really false advertising to call it bulletproof. It's like bullet more proof is maybe what you should call it.
Well, it's like a bulletproof vest, right? Like,
yeah, right.
I mean, probably like, not even as effective.
Yeah, bulletproof vests, like it depends on what armor rating you have and like what's being fired at you. Some bulletproof vests only work on like pistol rounds. And you got to get some pretty serious gear to like stop like regular rifle rounds and stuff like that.
Soft body armor doesn't work for knives.
Yeah, the soft body armor barely works for fucking anything. But
it's like they say in Dune. The slow knife that makes the kill. No, fuck off.
Yeah, that did not
make any. Yeah, that didn't.
If Anarcho Goth is listening to this, he gets it.
I mean, whatever. Yeah, I got it too. I've seen Dune. I just didn't think it was a good joke.
It's not a joke. It's just how knives work.
Okay. It's not a joke. I'm not joking here.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a badass knife expert.
Oh, okay.
And I've got
you
a bunch
certainly
of
have the eyeglasses
knives.
for it.
Yeah.
That's the kind
I also
of shit.
spit fire at Renaissance fair raves.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a new one.
Well, I mean, the happy medium that you end up discovering there is steampunk.
No,
is something I'm getting really into.
That's an extremely unhappy medium.
Nerds.
So here's why I'm bringing this up. This guy was at the January 6th riot. It's unknown whether or not he actually entered the building after the cops let the other cops in. But he was at that riot. He's got the time and energy to try to do this assault on the Cincinnati FBI office. This is a person who probably has a couple of bucks to throw around, right? And I was looking up stuff, and like a moderately sized pane of bulletproof glass is like maybe $1,000, depending on like how serious you want to go. And I gotta say, man, like just do a little bit of research and development before you start like trying to assault a bit. Like the 9/11 terrorists. Osama bin Laden was a builder. So he was like the subject matter expert on like whether or not a plane could knock down the tower. Just given his expertise in building and that sort of thing. But this guy, like he doesn't even like try out a nail gun on like, I don't know, maybe thick glass or something. Like he like you gotta put a little research and effort into this sort of shit. And what I'm really trying to get at here is if the hogs and the pigs are gonna go to war, I want it to be a good war. I don't want it to be like a one-sided dumb bullshit thing where some fucking idiot walks into an FBI office with a nail gun, has to retreat because, oh shit, it doesn't work and I didn't try this out beforehand. Ends up in a cornfield. This is the real story, by the way. Ends up in a cornfield trying to fire his weapon at FBI agents. And it's like, well, yeah, they've got better guns than you and more training. So now you're fucked. And you get shot to death. Hogs, please. Effort. And the other thing is that, this is like why Americans are so fucking stupid, I think. This guy seems to have apparently deluded himself into thinking that he could walk away from this incident, right? Like,
right.
A regular insurgent in like the Middle East who like no longer has any like delusions of living through their fight against the great Satan.
Yeah.
They just strap themselves up, or they rig up a bunch of explosives to a car and they know that this is the last time. This is the last time I'm doing anything.
Right. Yeah. I was just listening to an interview with the last male of a family that was like released of his I guess duty to join the Taliban. It's just been like two men from the family are always fighting in the Taliban, and they like expect to die, and like you're next, you know, like, and he's like talking about regretting his cousin not dying so he could be the next one to die on the battlefield. Like, you know, that's a real insurgent.
but hold on, it's happy medium time again, guys.
No.
Okay. And again, this is all on a Minecraft basis, and I don't agree with anything that anyone has ever done ever. You know,
we're just critiquing the strategy, not endorsing any strategy, right?
It's a game, you know. But you know, Timothy McVeigh, he walked away from that shit.
Yeah. Right.
And I will also say, you know, because you brought in the finances of it. I mean, he didn't get away with it. He went to prison and whatnot, but as
he got away with it for a little bit, you know.
Right. But he walked away, or drove away, or whatever. Probably didn't drive away in the same truck, I would imagine.
Different truck.
But, but I will also say, because you brought in the finances of it, and you know, things cost money, but fertilizer prices, I don't know what they were at the time of, you know, McVeigh, but per like on a nitrogen basis, I think fertilizer is like $1 a pound.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of these things where it's like, I'm not saying bomb anything. Don't bomb things, kids.
Don't bomb things.
But
However,
I will say
want to have
that
if
this guy meant to do it, right, like that's kind of the fundamental problem is people are trapped in these like weird fantasies of what they can accomplish and how much they need to dedicate to it, and maybe if they do it half-heartedly enough, it's like hesitation wounds in a suicide, right, where I'm gonna go assault the FBI headquarters with a nail gun, because maybe if I do it with a nail gun, you know, they'll be like, oh, he's just a cutie, you know, with a nail gun. And but he's also gets to be serious and scary and stuff. And it's not conscious thinking, I'm certain. Sure. But that's still fundamentally what it is, where it's just people like dipping their little toes in and being like, oh, I'm a bad boy.
Well, yeah. This is kind of like a day trip of terrorism, rather than like living the terrorism.
He's a weekend warrior.
Yeah, he's I mean, this was a weekday. But I mean, maybe he works an off schedule and this was his weekend. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So my message to the pro-Trump hogs in America is, can you at least make it a good show? You know, and I'm not endorsing this because I think they're all bad and wrong, but you know. Yeah. This is funny, but I would like it to be like funnier, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like what my papa always said, you know, before he died in the Great War, which is that it doesn't matter what you're going to be, kid. He didn't use the word kid. He used something that started with an F. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do in your life, kid. You could be a garbage man. Just be the best garbage man out there.
Yeah.
And then he finished his scotch, and then he undid his belt.
That took a really dark turn there.
He hit me with a belt.
Yeah, that's what I took from that story.
No, uncles and dads are different types of people.
Oh, okay.
These are different dudes that hang out in your house.
Some uncles are dads, some dads are uncles. I don't know where the lines are here. It's also blurry. Cool. Glad that we could get a pedo joke out of the way before we move in.
Look, you're the one that did that.
I am the one that did that. Yeah, I know.
Okay. Just making sure everyone knows.
I mean, but we're all doing this together.
Weirdo here.
The first Our subject matter tonight, of course, is part 2 of talking about NazBols, and our first subject is Julius Evola, which you can see pictured here. Unless anybody thinks that's not Julius Evola.
You stole that joke from me.
I know.
This is a meme I made years ago.
Yeah, that's actually a picture of
it's
Review Bra.
Yeah,
but he looks a lot like Julius Evola, and he probably has some similar beliefs. Who knows?
I mean, he just needs a little monocle.
Yeah. So John, actually go to the next link.
The next link.
So we've been talking about NazBolism, National Bolshevism, where it gets its roots from, current political movements associated with National Bolshevism. Last episode we kind of traced the Russian and Prussian origins of the National Bolshevism movement, which ends up leading into somebody like Alexander Dugin. We're going to be coming back to Alexander Dugin, but another interesting source of Dugin's philosophy is actually Julius Evola. He quotes Julius Evola often. He even calls him kin in a interview we'll be looking at later today. So maybe we should take a look into Julius Evola's beliefs, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I will say right off the bat that as troubling as Julius Evola is, I would not call him a NazBol. I think he's a different
no.
He's a different breed altogether. So just making sure everyone comes in realizing
that was something I was definitely going to bring up eventually, which is Julius Evola is not a NazBol. He's a super fascist.
Yeah, which is which I think it's funny that there's debate about what he meant by that. Because it seems clear to me. I haven't read a whole lot of his work, but it doesn't really matter. It's probably weird that I've read any of it, but I've heard people, and I've made the joke because it's easy, where it's just like, oh, he's not a fascist, he's a super fascist, because this was his defense.
Yes.
When he was being accused of being a fascist after World War II, and he was just like, no, I'm not. I am a super fascist, and he was acquitted. Because
the allegation was that he was trying to revive the fascist party, and it's like, there's no way I could possibly revive the fascist party. I'm too fascist for that.
No, that's not what he's saying. He's
beyond fascism, is basically
right. He's like a super fascist in the sense that. So my really brief spiel about Evola's philosophy is that he doesn't believe in the same pseudo populist effort that fascists believe in, right? Like, he doesn't even want the common folk to get together and rise as one unified nation. He wants spiritual palingenic aristocrats from like space to do it instead, and just bring the aristocracy back, and then they will go ahead and decide whatever happens with the rest of the people. So, I mean, what he's saying by super fascist is simultaneously that I'm above fascism because of the fact that it's this like silly proletarian ideal, and also that, no, you don't understand. I'm not even part of the material world. I am way too spiritual for anything like that. Like, I am literally above and beyond fascism in the same way that one can be like the Ubermensch, right? It doesn't mean that you're more of a guy. It means that you are spiritually advanced beyond that.
You've got the Beyond Burger, the Beyond Fascist. The, it's not meat. It's beyond meat.
Exactly.
Evola is a funny guy. So
he's what naturally happens when you have when you take a lot of weird mystical beliefs to begin with, and then you take way too many hallucinogens, and then you decide arbitrarily you've gotten over your insecurities, but you haven't.
Right.
Like that's yeah.
So
and you do it on a mountain while jerking off.
Definitely while jerking off.
Joe Rogan would love Evola, and like that's not even like a weird slight at Joe Rogan. Like the standard kind of like, oh, they would love one another. Holy shit!
Have you ever taken DMT? And Evola would be like, yeah, I took DMT and then I whipped virgins or something.
Yeah, in the Alps.
Yeah, in the Alps, of course, because that's where God lives or doesn't live, or something like that.
In the Alps.
That's where the Aryan, what does he call them? The celestial Aryans come from.
Right. And that's also where his ashes are. They bore a hole into a glacier in the Alps and they poured him in there.
Is that why the glaciers are melting?
Yes.
Yeah, they're just so cursed.
To give some context for this, last week we talked about Solzhenitsyn and kind of the rise of like Russian nationalism in general, but that's not too much of an influence on Dugin, so much as it just kind of like permeates into the culture of Russia, I think. Dugin actually doesn't really like Russian philosophers quite a bit in general, I think. We'll talk about that later. But where Dugin does get a lot of his nationalist kind of or just especially like the mystic elements of Dugin's philosophy seem to come from Julius Evola. So let's give some highlights on who Julius Evola is. He pioneered this thing called magical idealism, which is the idea that everything that is independent from the ego is an illusion caused by a deficiency in the ego. Which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we're talking about magic here in the first place. Magic he's talking about is more hermeticism. It should be pointed out, right?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, I mean, I would say there's a lot of like weird mystic convention for that type of thinking, and I've heard some people claim that Evola kind of founded that, but I think it's a lot older as well, and if it isn't necessarily older, it's just kind of predicated on similar types of thought. But there are a whole lot of different groups out there that are essentially just like, hey, the only thing that's out there is you or love or whatever this arbitrary distinction is. Yeah. And everything else is this kind of fuzzy thing that you need to correct or get beyond. It's goofy shit for the most part, my thought. But yeah, there's he's not coming up with anything new here.
No, for sure. So yeah, he kind of like pioneered this version of it, I guess, that he gives.
Sure.
There's good versions of this. I'm blanking on the guy who wrote The Watchmen.
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore, yeah. So he's also a hermetic person, and
I mean, hermeticism is kind of cool.
No, hermeticism is kind of cool, and it's the basic concept that like. If you're really good at speaking, and you've talked about the etymological roots of what a spell is, right? Before, and you can go into a blurb on that if you want. But basically, it's just the idea that if you're really good at speaking and you're good at persuading people, that's sort of a spell that you're casting on them, whether or not you're like using a poultice or like a boiling frog's legs in order to make it happen, or chanting in the woods at night. Doesn't really matter. It's whether or not you can have this effect on the world, this sort of magical effect through speech and action and that sort of thing.
And there isn't a single postmodernist philosopher that wouldn't tell you that reality, or at least like perceptual reality, isn't fundamentally determined by language and power, right? So
yeah,
it's that's the whole thing.
So he does that magical idealism, a little bit goofy, but there's some reasonable roots in there. Then he also does this thing called the Group, which is basically the Illuminati and Freemasons, but for Italian fascists. So he takes that magical idealism idea and then is like, and what if we used spells to do evil? He doesn't think it's evil. He thinks fascism is actually good. But he's still doing evil. So maybe like a misunderstood wizard. We're working with here now. Then we move into sexism, which he did quite a lot of.
Oh yeah, he loves tantra and sex and eroticism and all this stuff, but also women are tricksters and homosexuals are useless.
So now this wizard is an incel as well.
Yeah.
And
but
basically
he edges like a king.
Yeah. Basically,
on his icy throne, just slow jerking.
Men have a higher standard than women. And
I don't
women.
know if that's true.
Well, no, that's what Evola says.
No, I know. Yeah.
Nobody clipped that. Nobody clicked that. So to Evola, men have a higher standard, and women emulating men are essentially monkeys. So if there's any masculine trait that a woman is displaying, she just looks like a monkey doing it, like which is pretty rude, I guess. I've known women who can do lots of things that men traditionally do.
I mean, it's pretty racist against women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He also he's against women's liberation because he feels that it's a renunciation of a woman's womanhood because women have a lower standard and they're like trying to have a higher standard. What's up with that, guys?
I mean, that's the most Italian thing anyone could ever say.
Yeah. Hey, your womanhood is I don't know. I can't do an Italian accent. I smack at the women.
Spaghetti, ravioli. These are Italian.
You goddamn right. You goddamn right.
It's not racist because Italians were fascists. He also believed in ritual violation and whipping of women as a means of raising consciousness.
I have nothing to say about that one.
Did Italy stop being fascist?
What's that?
Did Italy stop being fascist?
No, probably not. I haven't checked up on them lately.
So,
and then we get into the racism stuff.
The cool stuff, the really awesome, the edgy Nick Mullen Evola stuff.
Evola kind of reinvented racism a little bit by basically adhering to like what racism actually is in a lot of cases. He believed that race was more like a caste system. Actually, the caste system was more indicative of what your race was. So if you were let's say a really wealthy
if you were an aristocrat, if you were a baron like Evola was purportedly, even though no one knows anything about his upbringing, and which he called unimportant, by the way. He was like, it's just fucking the history of your family line and shit that matters a lot because that determines whether or not you're an aristocrat, or your aristocrat determines that.
But don't talk about where I come from.
But let's not talk about my childhood.
Your lineage is super important, and it's actually determining what your race is. So you can be Aryan and you can be any color of person as long as like your lineage is that of aristocracy, and you're more or less kind of. There's some exceptions here and there, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've said it for years. All white people have. There are, and I'm not a racist, okay, but there are black people. And then there are.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a bleeping sound effect here?
I don't know.
We should get one. No, but like that's fundamentally the kind of thing that he's saying, right? It's
right. Yeah.
Which is really, really fucking funny.
Which
just
goes into so he is a fascist, even though he claims he's beyond fascism.
Yeah, whatever. And I mean, he also wrote tracts against fascism and stuff. I wouldn't even call it like, I don't know. I'm such after the workshop and everything. I have such a specific view of what fascism is that I don't necessarily see him as being that, but he's certainly fascist sympathizing and like friendly to that type of thinking. I think in most like colloquial ways we could probably call him that, but I'm still like not intellectually comfortable per se.
Fair enough.
I mean, but at certain points in his life, he certainly was like, for all intents and purposes, a fascist. I mean, he did work with, or tried to work with the Nazis, and kind of did, and he loved Himmler, and you know, all these things that are pretty fucking fascist. Like if it quacks, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, he's just a fucking weird, inconsistent, bizarro guy, or not even inconsistent, just like
he's a really interesting guy.
He doesn't line up with the world, and he's an asshole. Yeah. And I'm not saying he's not a fascist in any way to like defend him, but it's really fucking complicated the way that he lines up with the rest of the world or doesn't.
Well, and we'll get into it more later, but I think that inconsistency is actually part of the charm for somebody like Dugan.
Yeah.
But another thing I wanted to bring up about Evola is what's referred to as spiritual racism, which is unlocking a new form of racism. this time we do it through prayer. But so he believed that and I wrote some specific notes on this. Italian fascism and Nazism were a hope for the reconstitution of the celestial Aryan race. He criticized Hitler for being as ravenously anti-Semitic as he was, not because he thought the Jews were good people. So let's not like give him any accolades for being a fascist, but like somehow not an anti-Semite. The way he was an anti-Semite was that he believed that the Jewish way of life and the Jewish beliefs were corrosive and anti-traditional. But he didn't attribute
Jews hate
this...
tradition. Jews fucking hate tradition.
Yeah, they don't like spend like most of their calendar year doing traditional things.
Yeah, they don't literally use a different calendar because of tradition.
Right, exactly.
Moon people.
But the way Evola saw it was the Jews are not a race. It's a worldview, and that's why we shouldn't like them.
That's also, yeah.
I was gonna say. So once again, we find ourselves talking about anti-Semites for some reason in the scope of National Bolshevism.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's if you wanna be part of a deep and seriously held European cultural tradition, I can't think of one more consistent than anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
you know, like it's what you do.
Proud history of Europe.
Yeah, we just hate Catholics.
So
Protestants are worse.
Ow. All right, buddy.
They are denotatively.
Yeah,
they are. Protestants are worse than Catholics.
I don't know about that.
American Protestants are worse than Catholics.
There we go. That's fine.
Yeah, because American Protestantism is
Martin Luther was pretty.
You like watching me take my. I mean, there's great people from every religion, right? But yeah, like American Protestantism is literally just the religion of capital,
the garbage pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think Mormonism is the most American religion, but
it's the most. Yeah, no, yes, no. This is a weird. I got to think about this
maybe
because I agree,
we'll have a talk
and I've said it
about this
before. I've
later,
said exactly that before, but yeah.
Well, I mean, aren't Episcopalians specifically American?
Sure, but
aren't
not
those the
as
people that just
American as
don't
Mormons.
they don't eat meat
They've, like-
except for fish, right?
They have
Well-
like they're like Protestants that are Catholic, but they're not Catholic.
I
and
know,
they
I was
use
just
like a cardinal
joking
system or
about
something.
I thought-
No, I mean you
Pescatarians
you
I
just
thought they
said
were. I thought they were Anglicans that don't believe the
what it
Queen
is?
is God or something.
yeah, that sounds right. I
That
don't know. I've
seems like
been to.
treason.
I used to go to AA in an Episcopalian church, and
Do you see any pictures of the Queen?
no, I didn't see a single one. That's crazy. But you know what that tells me though? No one has ever seen, at least no Episcopalian has ever seen, Jesus and the Queen in the same room.
Could be the same
Yeah.
person. Nobody can
Yeah,
know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Queen is
Cool.
Jesus.
So we've
So- If you're an
We've-
Episcopalian, you can't be an Episcopalian. It's a whole thing, which makes
Well,
you an
maybe it's-
Episcopalian.
we've gone through Julius Evola's like highlight reel of weird deranged stuff that he does and thinks,
He was also a mountain climber. That's fun.
Yeah. which that's fine, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It
that's
seems- it
just
seems
always
like,
a funny thing about mystics to me. It's like because wasn't Crowley also a mountain climber?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
like aren't like a
Yeah.
lot of weird mystic fascist mountain climbers?
Because you climb up to the top of the mountain and then you say, "I saw God up there." I met.
well,
my
yeah,
yogi."
and then Evola also firmly believes in the great chain of being and stuff like that. So
yeah,
you
Yeah,
gotta
he's-
reach the top of the chain.
yeah. I mean, he's the bad kind of Nietzschean, right? It just in the sense that he, just I'm gonna conquer this mountain. With I don't know, like I had a conversation recently. I don't remember if this was part of the recorded podcast that we ended up doing. I'll save pitches for the end or whatever. But I don't remember if I said this during our chat beforehand or somewhere during it. But I really feel like the good Nietzscheans are just are accidental Spinozas, whereas in the bad Nietzscheans are just all of the things his sister said. But yeah, anyway, that's a niche thing.
All right, John, go ahead and go to the next link. And this
If I
is
must.
But by the way, really quickly, sorry.
Go ahead.
I get in arguments about this all the time. Nietzsche, it turns out, and shut up. I know he cites him and everything, but Nietzsche apparently never really read Spinoza. He just kind of, I guess, refused to do it. But he knew of Spinoza because he read secondary literature about it. I know no one that's currently listening to this gives a fuck about it, but I needed to point that out.
Least of all
because I
me.
need to
No, I'm
point
just
it out
kidding.
every time.
I appreciate that. The Benzo Rehab Dungeon is here to speak truth to everything, even when it doesn't matter.
Even when it's dumb, pedantic bullshit.
John, if you could zoom in just a little bit. My eyes are bad and my screen is small. So this is
My eyes are small and my screen is bad.
scroll up just a little bit. So I think it cites the writer of the article here, or rather interviewer. Keep scrolling up, John.
Oh, keep scrolling up. Jeez.
Yeah.
So I believe this is Christina Stokel, doing the interview with Alexander Dugin. This interview was done in 2020, so it's recent enough that we can presume that this is how Alexander Dugin still feels about the world. John, if you could
brave
please,
of you to say.
Yeah.
But no, I think
John, if you could please search out the word pagan. That's going to be the first set of things that we're going to read. So Alexander
many
Dugin
times?
here. No, just this first one. Scroll up to there's going to be like a grayed out sort of text. There we go. So the interviewer says here, you say that you have moved from a situation where you knew nothing to a situation where you knew everything. The point of transition comes with the discovery of right-wing critique of the modern West. Can you explain in more detail how and when you make this discovery? And this is Alexander Dugin now. This was in 1981. In that year, I met the three people I just mentioned. All three had the exact same experience as me in the past, in the 50s and the 60s and 70s. They were older. Dzimol was 10 years older than me. Golovin was 20 years older than me. And Mamliev was 30 years older. They had been discovering this recht critique, right-wing criticism, for decades already. The ideas resonated very much with our Russian Orthodox tradition, but we did not know that back then. We started with the Western recht critique with the right-wing critique of modernity. So this body of Western thought was already known to them, of course. At the time, there didn't exist any translations, but they knew the books. Partly Dzimol had a library, partly Golovin. Go ahead.
Scroll.
Oh, yeah.
Scroll.
John, scroll, for fuck's sake. For the first time, I got to know these ideas from their retellings. They told me about them, and then I quickly learned 2 or 3 European languages within 6 months. Besides, I signed up for the Lenin Library. I even faked an entry card because they wouldn't let me in. And with this library card, I went to the library and sat there studying recht critique. I don't know how to say
critique.
that. Recta critique. Thank you. Somebody that speaks languages other than English. My only language. Only and worse.
What language did you watch that movie in? Sorry.
Comanche, and it's dubbed, and there's subtitles. You fuck. I spent about a year there. I found Evola's book, Pagan Imperialism, the only book by him that was in the Lenin Library. A lot of people have asked me why I translated it. Well, there just weren't any others. I saw it and I translated it. And it's still being reissued somewhere. That was 1981. It was all happening instantly. That is the process of moving from being a nicht wissender to a wissender, non-knower to a knower, took place rapidly. In the same way, the study of languages proceeded very quickly. There was no gradual progression for me. It was first one thing, then another. Through the Western critique of the West, I understood why I hated communism. But I also understood why the West was not an alternative. So this insight of mine took shape in 1981 and most in 1982, and nothing has changed since then. It became the basis of my thought, and I gradually began to select Russian authors to build on it. Conservatives, Slavophiles, Eurasians. So the reason I had us read that is because he's basically saying his beliefs haven't changed since 1982, which is, I think, important in what we're going to read the rest of. So the interviewer then asks him, so the Orthodox context joined after that? And Dugin says, yeah, only after that. In the beginning, when I first thought about philosophy, I even thought it in French, Italian, and German. For me, Evola, Heidegger, and Guénon were much closer than any Russian thinker. That's a bit of a name drop situation there. So first off, he name drops Evola, which we've just read a bunch about. Heidegger, who does, I will preface this by saying there are things you should probably read in Heidegger, but it should also...
Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, it should also be noted that Heidegger was part of the Nazi Party. You have to take both of these things into account when you consider Heidegger. A lot of interesting metaphysical concepts. Nazism.
Yeah, right. That's one of the things. Metaphysics and politics, you can be really great with one and not the other.
Yeah.
But then you have these mystics. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
and Guénon, I know a lot of people that like him, but I don't know a whole lot, and he seems perturbing. In some ways.
I kind of read the cliff notes on Guénon. He's a highly traditionalist French writer.
Yeah. He's an inspiration on Evola, I know, and he looks like a dork. So
yeah, right. Well, all these guys look like dorks. If we're being
Heidegger
honest.
just looks like a German dad.
Like I said, dorks.
That's the dorkiest thing you've said.
He has a dork.
So. Different kinds of dorks. Like, there's
lots
this
of
scrawny
different
kind of little dork, and then there's like the the burly doesn't do anything with his burliness, but like drives around on his little lawnmower kind of dork, you know. They both have pocket protectors, is what I'm saying. But
yeah. Pocket protectors before electronics somehow. Nobody knows.
Pocket protectors with little swastikas on them. Aren't pocket protectors for pens?
I have no fucking idea what pocket protectors
for
ever
pens.
were for. I don't even know that they were even real. Honestly,
I don't know that I would necessarily know what a. Yeah, they're for pens. They're for pens.
Why would you want that?
Because your pens
pocket
leak.
Protector.
Your pens leak, and you wear like a white shirt or something.
Yeah, I always assumed that like the pocket protector was like an alarm system that like if somebody
no. I was like, I don't know what you mean by the electronics thing. Is this a calculator joke? But
I've never looked into pocket protectors, man. I don't give a shit.
I remember one of the first times that I had a girlfriend just fucking roast me. It was about pocket protectors. I didn't have one, but she kept on talking about how she was going to get me one because I constantly had a bunch of pens in my pocket. It's not a good roast, but it hit at the time because I was very young.
Yeah, I get that, man.
Pocket protector. She's cool.
So Dugan goes on. After name dropping these three like fascist adjacent sort of people, it's hard to even call them adjacent. They're all pretty much fascist.
Like Heidegger, literally part of the fascist party. Like, sorry, and I love him, but
well, like I said, you know, there's things to take out of it, and there's things to like be. No, don't do that, Heidegger. Come on.
Stop peeing on the couch.
Yeah. So he continues after name dropping all these people and saying that they were much closer than any Russian thinker. He continues, for me, they were like my kin. I thought in their categories, and the Russian thinkers came only later. You know, Guénon said, we need a sacral tradition. I looked around and saw, the Russian Orthodox tradition. I had been baptized as a kid, but I started to go to church because that is what Guénon said. Because according to him, there needed to be faith, because according to him, there needed to be anti-modernity. Evola said we should be against the communists and the liberals. I was against the communists myself, but I didn't know the liberals. There weren't any around. But since Evola said we should hate them, I hated them. Back in 1981, I could have killed somebody at the word liberal, also at the word communist. Heidegger taught me how to criticize the Western European tradition. He taught me the need to find a fundamental ontology. I couldn't find Heidegger in one of the only good things about Heidegger, maybe. I couldn't find Heidegger in German at first, but I got a hold of him in French and learned him by heart in French. Then I found him in German, read the books again and again. I read Heidegger all the time. You can't read him all the way to the end. He is an infinite author, and the fact that the Germans today are purging this treasure from their German philosophy is, for me, evidence of some kind of oligophrenia, which I believe is like oligarchical, like schizophrenia of some sort, or
money
madness.
It means like a congenital or
look that up. I meant to look that up before, but like I said, I had quite a week, and
it means like a brain disease that you get like early in life.
Oh, okay.
So like congenital or otherwise. So it's a dog whistle is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, beyond the dog whistle, go back to the interview, John. The next line is a mental retardation.
Yeah, that's what oligophrenia is.
Yeah. There's nothing more beautiful than Heidegger. His philosophy is the greatest thing that happened after Plato. Heidegger is a miracle. Well, Schelling, Hegel, they're also great, of course. When I was in Freiburg, a German professor told me, look, I was running the chair of phenomenology here. Now it has been closed down and replaced by gender studies, by queer studies. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well, also, if you have a phenomenology department, it's probably necessarily going to transition into some form of cultural study, because the
it's
fact
going to
that
transition, is it?
because phenomenology is all about like one's experience of the world. I mean, it shouldn't be eclipsed by that, but I would imagine that it hasn't.
Yeah, no, these are related
Then again,
things.
like philosophy departments do insane, stupid bullshit all the fucking time because universities are trash. But
of course, and you know, like his catastrophizing about gender studies and queer studies, when these are kind of natural extensions of phenomenology, to some degree or another, is like a little bit weird. And you know, spoiler alert, Dugan is like a transphobe.
yeah.
And so was Evola. Evola hated gay people, by the way.
Yeah. They have no use to me, he said.
Yeah.
But which is probably a lie. Anyone that says they have no use for gay people,
yeah,
probably has.
The
plenty
Republicans
of use
say that quite a lot, and then we catch them in
and then tap their
rooms.
toes.
Yeah.
But
using gay people.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, also one of the reasons that we start to see less and less of a focus on phenomenology. I mean, there are a lot of reasons, like the linguistic into the like the new material turn and all sorts of things like that, and like actual philosophy. But there's also just the simple fact inside of things like universities that they are money-making mechanisms, right?
For sure.
And so producing studies on phenomenology is probably not going to do a whole lot for you. But certainly even well, simply because it is co-option, going ahead and focusing more on things like critical race theory, gender studies, things like that, whether or not we should have a focus on them, and we should to some degree. I mean, it should have just as much of a place as any one of these other niches, if not more in a lot of cases. But there's a lot of opportunity for publication there, and a lot of opportunity for attracting students, because as much as it might pain a lot of us to realize it, a lot fewer people want to read about, you know, Hegel's phenomenology than want to read about why am I constantly being abused?
Yeah, and it's a matter of like, you said Hegel on accident, but you know, Heidegger's...
No, I said Hegel on purpose.
Oh, okay.
His phenomenology, yeah, but yeah.
Okay, I thought we were keeping this to Heidegger, but yeah, I see what.
No, he mentioned Hegel in there as like a
no, yeah, you're right. I was trying to be I mean,
Heidegger talks about phenomenology too. Whatever. I'm gay.
But yeah, no, you know, in Hegel and Heidegger, you know, these ideas of phenomenology, they're more abstract. They're not like necessarily lived experiences. And then when you get like down to like you know, like you were saying, critical race theory, gender studies, queer studies, etc., these are now the lived experience versions of those, and I think those are maybe a little bit more impactful to people who are reading them.
Well,
because they're relatable.
They're more relatable, and they're more precise, right? Because it, like, phenomenology,
the refining of the idea,
right? Yeah. It's a refining of the idea into a very specific kind of niche of describing an aspect of life, right?
Yeah,
where like let's just the basic topic of like gender dysphoria, right? That is an inherently phenomenological topic, and you can medicalize it and turn it into a biological one as well. But biology and phenomenology have a lot in common with one another, right? Because your brain is in fact a biological machine that determines the phenomena that you experience in the world. But one of the issues is that, you know, you have this sprawling, like this sprawling world of subjects that phenomenology attempts to make universal, right? It's saying that all human experience or all experience has these qualities, or you can go that way, right? Where all experience has the same qualities. Or you can say different forms of experience from different people, from different organisms, from different all sorts of fucking things, which you might think that the fucking fascists should love this, but it's way too complicated, probably. But you can say all of these different forms of phenomenology and experience require their own form of study, right? Which is why you end up having different forms of like cultural theory and focuses like that, which in the most optimistic sense is just a way of being more precise about your description of the world. And the most cynical sense, which I think is also true, I think both of these are there, it is just a way of saying to everyone inside of like this neoliberal landscape that you are extraordinarily, you're the arbiter of subjectivity, right? And it's your subjectivity that you should care about. Of course, if you're subalternated, then it is something that you should care about immensely, because of the fact that you should be doing something about the fact that your phenomenology is so punished by your political kind of status. But anyway, I don't know. We could talk about this for.
I think that's good.
But I'm saying what he's talking about probably happened to some degree, and he's probably also being dramatic about it. And there's good and bad reasons for it to happen.
Yes.
Anyway.
And that's kind of why I'm having us read through this, because he is catastrophizing about something that is maybe pretty normal and actually expected of this.
It's an evolution of philosophy.
Yeah. And he wants us to go back. That's his thing.
To that.
Yeah. So finishing out this little quote from Dugan. No, go back up. So he talks about this German professor. It's weird that he doesn't name the German professor also, I think. And I don't know if that's like intentional or if he's just like many people are saying sort of thing. But so after that quote about phenomenology is being replaced by gender studies and queer studies, he goes on to say, this is a perfect example of what is happening to Europe, while in China and Iran, Heidegger is now recognized as the greatest thinker of our time. So go ahead, and the next thing I need you to look up. Nope. John, you're taking the wrong cues. Go back to the interview.
Oh, the interview.
I can't believe we just saw a shot of the money shot all at once.
Oh, there's
one frame of it.
There's multiple things.
Oh, you know what? Actually, look up a line, ALAIN. Sorry. Nope, AIN. You're doing Italian.
Wait, what did you say?
ALAIN.
AIN. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I thought I could have swore you said IAN.
I probably did at some point. All right. So he also names
talk about School of Life, huh?
Yeah. Well, not really. Oh, I don't even know why I had to look it up. It was the next thing, anyways. So the interview asks him. I did these notes at like 2 a.m. last night, guys. Sorry. So the interviewer asks him after that last line that I read, you found your intellectual interlocutors in Western critics of the West early on, but this was still an intellectual universe and a universe of letters. No, don't look that up or print it.
It's people you speak with.
Can I not look things up later?
Oh, I mean, if you need to.
It's people that you have dialogues with, conversations with.
Oh, is that what it is? Well, fine.
The peers you're talking to.
Locution means to speak, and inter is.
Okay. So, but this was still an intellectual universe, a universe of letters. When did you personally meet with representatives of this Western tradition of criticism of the West? And Dugan replies, that was in the late 1980s when it was already possible to travel abroad. In 1989, I came to Paris for the first time. I had started a letter exchange with somebody there. A year before, I'd found the addresses of different people in Paris who occupied themselves with traditionalism, Guénon, alchemy, Gnosticism, and I had started to correspond with them. This exchange of letters resulted in an invitation to Paris. There I met with Alain de Benoist. I don't think you pronounce the T there. I don't know. I didn't look it up.
Benoit.
Benoit. I don't think so.
Yeah, like Chris.
Yeah, Chris Benoit. I met disciples of Guénon, Evola, admirers of Heidegger. It was the beginning of an intense dialogue. Alain de Benoit. Interesting that he drops this name because he's dropped the names of a bunch of fascists up until now, and what's different about Alain here is that he's a French ethno-nationalist. I wrote down. Again, all of his references that he keeps talking about very fondly are fascist, racists, and not good people.
I mean, to be fair, one of the primary takeaways, and this is probably not a great way to smile upon him either, but of Dugan's work is this idea of different forms of nations functioning inherently in different ways, and the way that they expand and the way that they invade and things like that. And so, of course, he likes all sorts of weird nationalists that want to say their country's different.
Yeah, because he's kind of like he's doing like RPG sort of style attributions to all these nations.
What do you think he thinks of the Red Guard?
From Elder Scrolls, or the Red Guard from like Russian antiquity.
Elder Scrolls is what I'm thinking. But
probably not favorably. I don't know. Very athletic.
They run the arenas. They're very athletic, greedy people.
Yeah. So our next link is a clip of Caleb Maupin, who we saw before. We saw before, and now we're gonna have to confront because he's an American NazBol, which doesn't make sense, but he's still trying to do it anyways. It's weird that he's sitting next to somebody because Caleb Maupin describes himself as a communist, but like a real communist, a national communist. He's sitting next to somebody who hates communism, but he's gonna shower Dugan in praises. He's also going to try to argue that I don't know, leftism is I mean, there's arguments to be made against like popular leftism for sure, but the arguments that he makes against leftism here are incredibly disingenuous, and he doesn't really like follow up on some logical like explanations behind what he's talking about.
Can I throw out a really quick metaphor here, perhaps? Maybe not even a metaphor, but if why don't we like psychopaths?
I mean, I kind of like psychopaths.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about psychopaths.
Psychopaths haven't like really fucked society up that much.
You asked the wrong two people in the world, but to the listener, to the viewer,
in a podcast with three psychopaths, the reason that you dislike us is the reason that psychopaths are awful is of course because they do evil things like burn kittens or whatever. But the more fundamental reason that psychopaths are awful is because of the fact that they will do whatever without any form of rational or moral framework. They'll do anything in the world in order to make themselves feel good or for their own self-interest, right? Yeah. Like the fact that you're that flexible with the shit that you're willing to do and willing to believe in makes you do horrible things invariably. And so that's one of the things that we kind of see at this table. I'm not necessarily calling them psychopaths, but it's one of the kind of guiding lines in things like fascism, and the people that end up becoming fascists, where they end up getting guided into this type of thought after being socialists or anarchists or capitalists or whatever, into that simply because of the fact that they're all nationalists. They're all obsessed with nationalism, and they just want whatever's best for the country, no matter fucking what. And there you go.
Even if it's bad for other countries.
Yeah.
So I giggled there in the middle because you like put your hands in front of your face a little bit and like made your glasses filter all wonky for a second. It was hilarious. Before we dive into this clip, I'm gonna put us on a mandatory PP break.
Don't do it. We have so little time left.
We've got 10 minutes of a video to watch. That's not that's not little
we've
time
got
left.
another hour.
Yeah.
And I was informed, in fact, that you confessed to this, I think, but I've received messages about this, but you do make the listener sit through our breaks.
Well, yeah, no, so that's going to be different this time.
Fucked up.
That's going to be different this time. I've actually I promised on the last podcast episode that I would make some kind of intermission music. I did so. I don't think it's very good. I got drunk and I thrashed around on the guitar a bit and I recorded it. You probably won't be able to hear it, you two guys, because it's going through a different channel than what I feed to you guys. But
going into our ear or butt instead of our ears.
Yeah, no, it's going straight through the stream and also to the audio recording. But we have 2 minutes and 27 seconds to go pee real quick and wash our
bye,
hands.
Go fuck yourselves. Bye.
So we'll be right back. Cool, we are back. Some of us are back. I don't know if John's back because he didn't fucking charge his camera and I can't see his fucking face.
I'm fucking back. Jesus.
Anyways, the first half of that intermission song I wrote, and then the second half was just me kind of like being a little bit drunk and freestyling based off of it. If you enjoyed that, I don't know. Tell me you enjoyed it. John, obviously you couldn't hear it, so fuck you. You don't know.
I heard your bitching at the end.
Eat shit, I'm here. Can I do?
I'm back, bitches. Cool. Welcome back to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon, dork. So we are going to watch 10 minutes of this clip with Caleb Maupin, the American NazBol, sitting next to Alexander Dugan. I don't know who the other two guys are. Oh shit! I started pouring more vodka when I needed to pour juice. That's not a good sign. But Caleb Maupin gives this little like 20-minute speech where he's kind of like verbally filleting Dugan the entire time. He says a lot of interesting and weird things in this last half, especially, which I felt like needed to be highlighted. So without further ado, perhaps play this, John. Oh man, ads in 5 seconds, John. You gotta start logging into the Benzo Rehab Dungeon YouTube channel. You son of a bitch. Just put the YouTube off screen and click the sign in button and sign into the account where we don't have ads anymore. Like going back to fucking day one with this guy.
Have you can you see the window now?
No.
Okay.
So you can sign in.
So...
You can type in our secret password, which is 42069 Hail Satan.
The fucking, I swear to God, fucking, why don't you remember? What's our email again?
BenzoRehabDungeon@gmail.com, which anyone and everyone can send their butthole pics to.
What is wrong with me today? I cannot spell. I mean, I can't spell on like fucking a good day.
Do you need me to DM you the password?
Yes, probably. I think I remember, but is it the Benzo Rehab Dungeon?
No, it's just BenzoRehabDungeon@gmail.com, and I've sent you the password through Facebook.
Through Facebook.
Which you should not bring up on the screen right now, just in case you needed a reminder about that.
Oh, I got it right here.
I hope you do.
Good thing I have a phone.
Where to God,
John?
Sorry, guys. I'm late. I didn't want to be here. No,
Yeah.
but I was heating up some leftover pasta.
Ooh,
you know, every time
you're gonna eat pasta while we watch Caleb Maupin.
Yeah, I'm gonna make wet noises into the microphone.
I love how your camera's blurred you out as if you're doing something very, very rude here.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like Calabrian peppers on there and everything. It's very naughty.
I think that it's sending something to your phone.
God damn it!
This is way better than the ad.
Yeah, I mean, we could.
I just said yes, it's me. You're fucking in now.
So, all right, fucking glad we could.
Bring it back to the main screen. Just save that fucking password in your goddamn Google shit.
I thought that I did.
Damn Google shit.
I don't want to like abuse you like we're on the Adam Friedland show or something, but
that would be really funny though.
I mean, I'd be hard more often during the show.
So populism, it's been
all right. Hold up.
I have a quick question for everyone.
Yeah.
So, like nice food, right? Like nice ingredients and things. But what do you guys think of that like cheap ass grated Parmesan.
Doesn't matter how much you spend on Parmesan, it's still the same.
The shitty grated Parmesan is actually better, I think.
Yeah.
It's just delicious.
It's like just salt and like sawdust with like a bit
it's salt, sawdust, and just like MSG.
Yeah.
Anyway,
best fillers. So Caleb Maupin here, now stuck in Italian pose. Is talking about populism, and it's weird that people don't like populism. But he's going to describe populism in a weird way that like I wouldn't agree with as being populism. He's like, why can't we just have populism where it's like we hate people we don't like, and like when we really think about and look at populism, most of the times populism is more of an economic thing. And then if you look at like cultural populism, turns out not very many people are actually transphobes versus like people who are transphobes. Most people are accepting of other people regardless of like whatever weird thing they're doing. And that's not to say trans people are doing weird things. I'm just saying like you can be weird.
Well, weird is
fine.
in like statistically uncommon.
Yeah, statistically uncommon sort of behavior. People really don't actually give a shit. It's the media machine that wants to make you care about these things that gives a shit.
Well, it's also the fact that so many populist movements are predicated not so much on what's genuinely populist, but what a select few believe to be populist based on the fact that they are shamed, and so they think everyone agrees with them and is too afraid to speak out. So, silent majority kind of thing.
And that's actually what I was exactly going to say is the concept of the silent majority, which is actually a very outspoken minority. It's bizarre that they allow themselves to call themselves the silent majority because they literally will not ever shut the fuck up. Luke in the chat says, I'm doing weird things. And Luke, we appreciate you and all your weird things that you're doing. Except
the weird things that Luke does, and I know Luke.
I do know Luke as well.
So
yeah. Maybe we should address this right now, but I believe Luke has decided to start a podcast. And in the words of the protagonist of my favorite movie, There Will Be Blood, where Daniel Plainview's son...
You're not my son. You're not my boy.
Yeah. Comes to him and says that he's going to start his own oil company. Me, as Daniel Plainview right now, saying, this makes you my competitor. And now I'm going to kill somebody in my home. Anyways.
I will say really quickly about this fact that Luke has a beautiful Australian accent and soft, sensual voice. And so, in terms of competitors, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Way more desirable. Especially now that John's not showing his face anymore because he doesn't know how to charge a camera.
Hey, I'm telling you, it's very expensive to take 4K butthole pics. Do you know how many?
John,
you got to pay us better.
This podcast has 3 things. All right. It has a pretty face. That's you.
Yeah.
It has a guy who went to college. That's Danko. And it has someone with severe schizophrenia. That's me.
Hey, fuck you. Those last 2 should both be me.
Okay. Well, then what am I? What am I here for?
Look, John is the brawn. You're the heart. And I'm the brain.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I just move things.
Yeah. And wait, what
he
were you,
just clicks
Danko?
links and jerks off to porn.
You're the brain? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's what you implied. I would never say it on my own.
I said you graduated from college. I was very selectful about
good point. Good point.
Anyways. Luke apparently is running his podcast at the same time as us.
That's, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
direct competition.
Hey guys, I gotta go. I gotta check out this podcast.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, let's get to this Caleb Maupin clip.
Somebody's getting dead animals in the mail.
Yeah. He's talking about populism and scene. Go ahead.
widely distorted.
Let this soft mineral melt in your mouth to rebuild
somebody,
teeth and gums and
somebody
stop
didn't
tooth.
pay the YouTube bill.
Oh, you know what?
Read it in the
Hold up, pause real quick. Yeah, I didn't because my credit card info was stolen like a month ago and I forgot to change everything. But next month it'll be fine.
Who's the piece of shit now?
Me. It's always been me. I'm the heart.
Yeah. You're definitely a piece of shit. But I love you.
Yeah, whatever, man. Keep playing it.
States, it's almost as if to be a populist is the equivalent of being a Ku Klux Klansman. That's what we're told. If you're a populist, you want to dangle African Americans from trees and kill them, and that's just not the reality of what populism is. But because any notion of populism has really been abandoned by the left, we're starting to see this demonization of populism in all circles. In the United States, there is a real confusion about how to move forward, and the organized political left is kind of at a loss. You know, a lot of the constituency in organized political leftist groups is very generational. It's been in their family for years. You know, their parents came to the United States in the 1920s or 30s, and they were members of the Communist Party. Then their children, grew up to be the 1960s New Left and opposed the Vietnam War and burned their draft cards. And now their children are Antifa and anarchists and breaking the windows of banks and attacking people and such. And that demographic in the United States is dying. Most of the individuals in that demographic no longer call themselves left. And this kind of urban, cosmopolitan, middle-class grouping that defined leftism in U.S. history is vanishing. However, there are many people in the United States who are opposed to capitalism. And during the presidential election, I'm a leftist, I come out of a left background, but I saw Donald Trump speak, and there were many times that he spoke and I applauded. I heard him talk about how, there's this elite that is not loyal to the United States, these international bankers. I applauded when he said that. When he talked about how, in Syria, or in Iraq and all these countries, we have attacked them, and the result has been terrorism getting stronger, and that the U.S. population is gaining nothing from these wars. I applauded when he said that. Now, I didn't agree with Trump about certain issues like immigration, certain issues like empowering the policing agencies in the United States, but in many ways, Trump was better than Hillary Clinton when it came to the concerns that are important to me. And
he's not lying.
Bernie Sanders, he was removed from the race, and we had the choice of Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. And there were many people who would have voted for Bernie Sanders who voted for Donald Trump in the election. Populism is the future. I mean, this future that's offered, you talk about the life that millennial Americans, that's what they call those of us in the United States born in the 1990s or the late 1980s, they call us millennials. And the future that is being offered to us by that by the society is very grim. Millennials essentially they are never allowed to become adults. They never are able to achieve the income level their parents had. They have a very low standard of living, and they essentially live out their adult life as if they're children almost. It's very weird. Anything that is conceived of as taking responsibility or growing up or being an adult is kind of frowned on. And young Americans are essentially encouraged to just permanently act like irresponsible children, to not have children of their own, to not buy homes of their own, to just kind of
Can you pause it for a
work
second?
a low-paying job.
I was gonna pause it here. Anyways,
All right.
Go ahead.
I'm just I mean, there are a thousand things that I could say, and I'm sure everyone's already saying them in their heads. But the thing that I really love about this video, actually, especially this is a perfect time to pause at this exact moment, because it exemplifies exactly how everyone feels about Maupin and his fucking talking about how
Just
about
sitting through
millennials. Just no one fucking gives a shit.
Yeah.
These two guys on the far flanks, one of them is like trying to obscure a yawn. Actually, maybe they both are. One of them might be anxiously biting his pen, I'm not sure. And then Dugan keeps transitioning between a look of, I'm trying to make sure I understand this in English, but Dugan speaks pretty good English. But this other look, which is slightly different, which is just what the fuck do I have to sit through right now? And it's really funny watching him transition back and forth between the okay, all right, okay, trying to keep along, and oh, what? No, okay, keep straight face. That's good.
There's also kind of a switcheroo that he starts doing here with how he's talking about millennials, where he says, millennials aren't allowed to do this, because of economic circumstances, et cetera, et cetera. And then he starts talking about how the left is encouraging millennials to, not have children. And it's like, no. It's the economic circumstances that are encouraging millennials to not have children. It's not the left. It's the liberalism, the right wing sort of power structure that's actually encouraging millennials to not have children. But he keeps attributing all of this to the left. And what he's doing here is kind of conflating the general construct of liberalism with, what he's calling the left here. He considers himself, of course, the actual true left, but he doesn't even like understand like what that really means, and he's calling all these like liberal things that happen leftism.
I mean, he's just on a war against avocado toast. Fundamentally, that's the kind of thinking that he's performing.
That's really what it is, and I can't remember if it's before this portion that I clipped out or after it, but if it's before, he goes into like millennials are being encouraged to wear like raggedy clothes to meetings. They're not wearing a suit and a tie to like political meetings. And it's like, well, yeah, they don't have a lot of money, man. Like sometimes the raggedy clothes are all you have. It's not that they're being encouraged to dress like homeless people. It's that some of them are just homeless people.
I'll also say that outside of the obvious thing where like culture and style and shit changes, dork ass millennials still dress up like crazy for stupid shit.
Of course.
That still definitely happens. It's just that they're on his team because they're the people that bring briefcases to high school, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just such an interesting form of philosophical kind of determination where the way that you decide if something is good or bad is whether or not it's wearing a bow tie.
Really kind of essentially what he gets at
it's literally the aestheticization of politics. Like
yes,
it's
exactly. Yeah. Continue, John.
Use drugs and just kind of live this lifestyle in which one pursues, hedonistic pleasures. And that's the future that the society is offering. And if you want to look beyond that, and if you want to talk about reorganizing U.S. society to serve the public and to serve the people in the U.S. society, and if you want to question foreign policy in the United States, the second you do that, you're called a fascist. You cannot do that. To be a
Who the fuck is calling anybody talking about, I don't know, not being imperialist a fascist? Who the fuck is doing that?
Yeah. My favorite fascist policy was not invading Libya.
Yeah.
Like
this is so far beyond the reality of anything that's happening. Not even the fucking weirdo right wingers will call somebody who's saying we shouldn't invade other countries a fascist. They might call that same person a fascist for other reasons, like trans people are allowed to use bathrooms. They'll call that fascism maybe. But not even the far right is saying, hey, if you oppose the Iraq war, you're actually a fascist. Nobody's fucking like that's insane nothing talk that comes from nowhere. It's not real. He's full of shit.
It's crazy pants.
It does help, however, that the only people that no human being agrees with the Iraq war in 2022. But those entities among us that do are center-left fascists.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Or neocons, which are center-left fascists now, I think, based on the way that the Overton window shifted. But
sure, man. Yeah. So this is a pretty big like bullshit lie that Mr. Moppin is telling here, where so I alluded to this before on the last episode, but people call Caleb Moppin a fascist because he really enjoys interviewing transphobic people and agreeing with them a lot, and he's a nationalist himself, and probably our next episode will be on the nationalist part of nationalist Bolshevism, where we talk more about how nationalism relates to other people and why it's fundamentally anti-socialist. But yeah, he's just making shit up. He gets called a right winger a lot because National Bolshevism is literally left-wing economics with right-wing cultural politics. So that's why people call him a right winger, because he has right-wing politics. That's in the name of what he is. So go on.
Communist. One of the right-wing commentators in the United States, he put out on Twitter, he said that, communism is an ideology that can only appeal to those who hate themselves. And I looked at this and I thought, Fidel Castro, does he hate himself? Did Stalin hate himself? But if you look at the modern left, if you look at the people that are going around and protesting against Donald Trump, that makes sense. A lot of them are self-hating, and there's a real worship of weakness in left-wing circles. Anything that is perceived of as weakness or disempowering, that's worshipped. And anything that is conceived of as strength or showing pride in oneself or building up one's strength, that's attacked, and that's said, well, that's fascist. You can't be like that. The first thing that happens to young people when they go to the university and they take gender studies or race studies or queer studies is they're immediately told that
it's like I don't entirely disagree with everything he's saying. Oh no, never mind. It's shit again.
No,
it's turned to shit again.
That's kind of like that's really the grift here, is that he says some truth and then he poisons the well. He says some truth and then he poisons the well.
Like all these fucking people. Yeah.
But go on, John.
As a person is wrong, and they need to learn to hate themselves more. That's the message the left is giving young Americans. And not surprisingly, it's not a very attractive message. It's really not an attractive message. And it's not only for white Americans, I will say. Black Lives Matter, which is this activist group that has been funded and supported by the highest levels of the U.S. political establishment, one of their primary goals is to attack...
I mean, he just throws out there that, all these things are government-funded psyops, essentially. And I don't think Black Lives Matter has like a whole lot of government fund. I think Black Lives Matter has a whole lot of problems as an organization, because never should have been an organization. It was a political movement that some opportunists grabbed a hold of and made an organization out of. But that doesn't mean that that's like essential to the politics of the political movement of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to start a company called the Christian Church, and all it's going to do is like rape babies.
Right.
Well, sorry, never mind. Never mind. I'm not going to do a cheap Catholic joke. I'm not going to do it.
No, do it.
But no, like it's and not even saying that Black Lives Matter as a group is. I mean, obviously they're not sexually assaulting babies, as far as I know, but.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it's goofy. It's like if someone started a group and just called it Antifa, like it doesn't fucking make any sense.
Well, it's like if somebody started a group and they called it nationalist socialists.
Well,
national
I mean, no,
socialists,
that at least would make sense, because that's supposed to convene in a certain way, right? And like have a daddy that leads you and stuff, but in these like wider kind of movements, it's like if you had a company that was just called the Hippies, and then we decided that all the hippies were part of this like corporate structure,
Yeah.
It's really dumb. It's anyway.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly stupid. And of course he's like conflating things with each other. He's really kind of like an anti-leftist, because he only nominally agrees with leftist economics, right? There's another video that I was gonna show, but like the audio is like really choppy and shitty because he's standing in the middle of like a wind tunnel. But basically he's standing up for this Russian billionaire that identifies as a communist, and he's saying, well, it's actually okay to be a billionaire and a communist at the same time, because communism isn't about making people poor. And it's like, yeah, nobody's saying that, dude. What we're saying is probably like you can't be a billionaire and a communist at the same time, because like that wealth came from somewhere, and it's probably from the extraction of like the profits of labor, right?
If the idea is that you shouldn't own the means of production and you own the means of production, then you either own the means of production or don't own the means of production.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so he does a lot of, he's a very confused individual, on top of probably being a little bit of a grifter. But go ahead and play.
I think this guy's just stupid. I think this guy's
no. I think he is genuinely stupid.
You think he's a grifter? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be smart to be. Yeah, you don't have to be smart to be a grifter. He's latched onto something that has worked for him as a very stupid person, and you know, like, it doesn't matter whether or not he truly believes it. He's just gonna like. It's the same thing as like Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is incredibly stupid, also still a grifter.
It's really it's funny. You can actually see it in everyone's faces. Again, a perfect shot to pause on. I think all of them are actually maybe. Dugan is the only smart person in that room.
For sure. I don't know who the other guys are, but they're idiots.
No, I could just tell by their fucking faces.
Yeah,
those people are dumb people. Sorry. Yeah.
This guy sounds like he grew up sitting at the same lunch table as Ben Shapiro.
He looks like he should still be at the lunch table.
I meant like his actual voice, like like they have like the same weasel accent.
You know, friend of the show, Mandy Moorhall makes music.
Hell yeah.
When
I started a band with, by the way.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, they started a band. I'm adding something to it.
Oh, okay.
What are you adding?
Don't worry about it yet.
John, if you could do a quick diversion and look up Roger from Doug.
Oh yeah.
Roger from Doug.
But friend of the show, Mandy Moorhall makes music. God, he spells Roger wrong. How does anybody do that? But
there's a definite D in there.
There is not. But Mandy Moorhall makes music. Sent me a message saying that Caleb Maupin dude looks like Roger from Doug. and they said green skin, red hair, everything.
Yep.
So
and let me defend John for once, okay?
No.
Sometimes Roger, especially as a surname, is spelled with a D.
Yeah, and you definitely put a D in that, how you pronounce that word.
Both Roger.
Have I mentioned that English is my first language? So can we really hold it against me? It's the first time I've tried a language, and I'm doing my best at it. Go back to the video, John.
Oh man, I still have a lipstick filter on.
Yeah, you do. Look at those luscious red puckers.
They just look like I'm covered in shit.
Yeah. Anyway. Keep playing the video.
The Nation of Islam, which is one of the most powerful black nationalist groups in the United States. And in just the recent months, there have been efforts and just a demand on every prominent black activist in the United States to denounce Louis Farrakhan. Why? Because Louis Farrakhan is a black fascist, we are told. He's anti-Semitic. He has said things about Jews that are not very nice. He's made statements about Hitler. So anyone, and the Nation of Islam is that's the organization of Malcolm X. I mean, this is an organization with deep roots, but the demand.
Something can be started by someone and then change. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah. I mean,
Louis Farrakhan is a black fascist. That can happen, and he can come from an organization that was started by Malcolm X. It's called Taking Things Over.
Well, I mean, like, and you look at baby boomers, like the fucking like free love movement and fucking like all that hippie shit, like fucking all those people fucking went back to college for the third or fourth time to be get financial management degrees.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're all fascists now.
Right. It happens. And Louis Farrakhan is kind of a piece of shit. So I don't know why he's standing Louis Farrakhan right now, but good on you, bud, I guess. Whether or not an organization was started by somebody doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good forever. Lots of examples of that, but we don't have to go into that.
Point out that Nation of Islam, I mean, Louis Farrakhan, leader of them or not, was founded when Farrakhan was like 3 years old. No, sorry, not even 3 years old, like 3 years before he was born, I think, by like Fard Muhammad. So I mean, these are all unrelated things.
Yeah, he's making shit up. He's
groups change and shift.
Yeah, groups change.
Well, he was just saying that like
the vibes shift.
Yeah, that Malcolm X was part of Nation of Islam, which sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
no.
I know a lot of people that are part of the DSA that shouldn't be.
For sure. Yeah. Because they're actually the social anarchists.
Because they're dope and cool instead of libs.
Yeah, right. All right, John, play
As
some
I
more
sip
of this.
my white wine.
And coming from the left is that all black activists distance themselves from this organization because, again, it's pushing strength. It's not pushing shame. It's pushing an agenda of raising people out of poverty. It's pushing a black identity.
It's pushing my stool.
When there's an emergency, every minute counts.
It's pushing your stool when there's an emergency. Skip that ad, John.
Spread and what Mr. Dugan has described in his work, which I mean is very
Mr.
meaningful
Dugan.
and people are reading it all over the world, is very real, and people should engage with his ideas. When I first began researching Mr. Dugan, I remember there were so many interviews in English by experts on his work, and none of them had ever read his writings. I mean, I would see interviews with people about Mr. Dugan, and they would say, well, Alexander Dugan, he's written books about why Russia should take over the entire world and colonize the entire world. It's very interesting. I've read some of it myself, and this is what they said. And it's almost a caricature. But if you actually read what Dugan has to say, he's on point in many ways. Now, the only point of disagreement I would really have is that I do think that there is a notion of historical progress, and I think one of the primary activities that the global elite is engaging in right now is holding back progress, and that this left that they have unleashed essentially is a destructive left. The message that they give is that people have it too good these days, right? The environment is being destroyed. We can't have people live more comfortable lifestyles. That'll destroy the earth. And this notion that people should live a comfortable life. This is hedonistic, and we need to do more of an ancient Eastern
Didn't this guy
thing.
hate
The modern left is very
Can
much
you pause
opposed.
real quick?
Very much.
What were you saying?
Didn't this guy hate hedonism a couple of moments ago?
Yeah. Well, no, he's still hating. Okay. Yeah. He hated on hedonism a little bit ago. But what he's saying is that the modern left is saying nobody should have good lives. Which sources
Because they're too hedonistic.
Yeah, sources incredibly necessary on that.
Everyone
yeah.
has to give up their cheeseburgers, but also eat 6 of them a day. But they have to be full of cum.
So yeah, this is another big Weasley flip flop of his. And
that's a cute image. That's a really adorable image. A Weasley flip flop.
Yeah.
Little flip flop.
A big old long boy flipping back and
He's
forth.
just flipping and flapping and flopping and flopping and flapping.
So, again, I want to see these leftists that are saying people shouldn't have good lives, because I don't know any of them, and I consider myself somebody who knows a lot of leftist people. I'm a little bit more left than a lot of them, just between you and I. But there's not a whole lot of people saying we should all have bad lives. If there's any kind of like leftist agenda that's trying to reduce the life standard of people, it's that the rich who have like the carbon footprint of an entire town and their personal lives, and then the carbon footprint of like a country and their business ventures, should maybe like tone that back down a little bit. But I don't know any leftist who's saying like, yeah, poor people should like actually be poorer.
He's talking about right-wing eco-fascists who want us all to starve to death and fight over grain.
So he's misattributing this to a different group of people. Oh, okay. Right-wing eco-fascists are actually the left. You're right.
My least favorite leftist.
Yeah. So yeah, he is once again just making shit up because Caleb Maupin is a dumb person and a grifter at the same time. It's amazing.
This guy's a crybaby. How about Caleb Maudlin?
Yeah. How about Caleb mopping up these tears that I keep leaving on the floor?
Caleb,
did you just lose your microphone with that?
I did a mic drop. I've done that twice so far.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't catch the first one, I guess. Sorry.
You idiot. You fucking idiot.
I'm the idiot. Continue.
Stupid ass.
Opposed to the notion of raising the world out of poverty, and they have this fascination with chaos and destruction. You know, the second
as he has the chaos star behind him.
Yeah. Very important to notice. You know, Caleb Maupin is going to decry chaos, while Alexander Dugin, a guy who pulled this from RPG books, I think needs to be noted, has the chaos star for the international Eurasian movement.
He's just a really big Gorgoroth fan. You know, don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure, man. But Caleb Maupin's big fear here is that you know, people are descending into chaos of some sort because you know, like we throw bricks through or not we, people who identify with similar politics as me, throw bricks through the windows of banks, and that's a wrong thing to do because we had to protect these institutions.
Right. Agree with him or not, but just imagine being as nuanced and well-spoken a thinker as Dugin is, and be stuck to this fucking child.
No. I think that's apt.
Constantly refers to you by name.
Yeah, Mr. Dugin,
and
Mr. Dugin.
Not Alexander. Just Mr. Doogie. Yeah. Please, Mr. Doogie.
Well, on top of being a simpleton, Caleb Maupin is also a simp. Got him. Owned. I don't have a rap air horn button on my
you don't have any of the cool drops. My shit's all connected, but I don't have a single drop ready. So,
Jesus, man,
it's just all connected
together.
It's art. It's art. I have like a whole background that I set up for it. It was time consuming.
Yeah, no, you spent a lot of time on that, and then no time on like actually putting anything behind that.
Yeah, I mean it's exhausting. Aesthetics. Everything about this is exhausting. Yeah, I'm a fascist. Whatever. It's the cessation of your drop panel.
Let's continue. He's going to say something interesting about statues.
Huh?
Because then it's an autocratic regime that's violating human rights. But as long as it's just people in the streets breaking windows, smashing things, tearing things down, they love it. You know, all throughout the United States, they are tearing down Confederate monuments, right? And the Confederacy was an awful thing. I mean, not just for African Americans, but for white people. I do not defend the Confederacy. But they're not replacing those statues with anything. Because the notion on the political left is not just that it's wrong to have Confederate statues. The notion is that it's wrong to have statues of anything. One shouldn't be worshiping anything. The idea that you have heroes that you aspire to become, this is wrong. That's the message that's coming out of the modern left that is very carefully funded and controlled. You can go back to the 1950s with the Congress for Cultural Freedom, but there's a much more recent examples of their activities. I mean, at this point, the Institute for Policy Studies, the Rockefeller Foundations, the Ford Foundation, most people in the United States who espouse what appears to be a leftist ideology are being subsidized by the U.S. government, whether directly or indirectly. And it is an attempt to make sure that what we saw with Huey Long, what we saw with genuine American populism doesn't reemerge. And so, the ideas that Mr. Dugan has promoted have been very meaningful for me in trying to make sense of what's going on in the world. And I thank you for the invitation to speak at this very important gathering. And I'm here learning. I'm hearing from different voices, and I'm open at this point. The fact that there have been so many articles accusing me of being a Duganist before I even read Dugan's writings makes me think that there's something that I have to learn. So I'm here to listen.
Pause.
I mean, that's the end of the video.
Right at the end. Yeah. This is why no one should learn philosophy or politics from, and I understand it's you right now, probably. Don't learn philosophy and politics from YouTubers. It will
we're different
ruin
than
your
YouTubers.
fucking brain. It will destroy your brain, which is why I'm saying you should only listen to us. The Spotify podcasters, totally legitimate way to learn philosophy and politics. But
we're only accidentally YouTubers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's how I feel. That's why I'm wearing these dope sunglasses.
Who are you? I can't recognize you with those dope sunglasses.
But really, just the last 75% of that rant was just him signaling all of this stupid YouTube politics. And frankly, I'm surprised he didn't bring up the new Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Like, it's such exhausting points that no one actually gives a shit about apart from people who engage with this stuff. And not even this stuff is in politics. There's way dumber shit than people that just focus on politics care about. Fucking ask Rod Dreher, right? But YouTube politics shit it's going to kill you. It is a tumor in your brain and it's killing you right now. And if you're doing that, you need to stop, or else you're going to become either Caleb Maupin or like a gooey or leftist version of him.
Ooh.
Don't do it.
Hard to get gooier.
I'm sorry to say this. But you should read.
Oh no!
Learn to
Danko,
read.
Danko, that's ableist. Some people have trouble focusing on books.
Same.
Fucking same. No, same. Yeah. No.
Read articles. Read something.
Maybe that's a good place to sort of.
Good night. Read my medicine.
No. Not in this. But maybe a good place to kind of like maybe expand for like a couple of minutes on like the importance of reading actual works versus just listening to three assholes on YouTube or Spotify or SoundCloud, wherever you get the Benzo Rehab Dungeon content from. I have endeavored, and even if you're listening to audiobooks, I think that's way more important than a lot of times listening to opinion YouTubers.
It's inherently denser.
Yeah, inherently denser, and maybe something useful we could do is put together like a reading list that we like post in like a Google Doc or something like that. Maybe we'll talk about that over the next couple of days.
And you could always join a workshop that
you could always join a workshop
every week.
Chunkata.patreon.eat my shit or whatever.
Yeah, exactly that. You got it right.
Yeah, no, I know how to do the pitch. Do actual reading.
There's but there's also the point that, and this is maybe a more meta point, but I genuinely believe this to be the case, and this is going to be the most ableist part of my whole argument here, that people should in fact fucking read, which is that the effort is the philosophy, the obstacle is the path, right? Like if you fucking dedicate yourself to understanding something, you're going to understand it better and determine if it's right or wrong better than if someone is spoon feeding it into your ear like a thin slop, right? That just rushes through you. Because let's face it, if you are someone that watches a lot of YouTube, and I watch it while I work and shit, like, but frankly, my YouTube watching is even dumber than political stuff at this point. Like it's all true crime and drama stuff. Like I have brain cancer, but yeah, right. But when you decide that it's time that you want to actually make some kind of determinations about what your life philosophy is going to be, like the way that you want to structure the way that you look at and feel about and act in the world, you should probably treat that as something that's worth stepping over obstacles to accomplish. And in fact, because your whole philosophy, if you're on our side, should be about stepping over obstacles in order to make something happen. If you can't read a fucking book, you can't overthrow a fucking government. Whatever word I was going to say there. Wuss. You poopy
on top
baby
of that
thing.
On top of that, and I think this ties into...
Buy a gun.
Not what I was going to say.
$1 a pound for nitrogen.
But don't just read things. I think it's useful to read things with an antagonistic viewpoint.
I disagree, but
no,
maybe agree in the end. No, read things affirmatively, but read them critically, right?
Yeah, right. That's what I mean to say.
Give yourself an opportunity to accept
that.
any thought in the moment that you're reading it, and then as soon as you've read it, think it through.
Do a big think about it.
And that can be, at the end of the chapter, but that's another. Here's a pragmatic lesson about reading. If you're reading things that are hard, and let's face it, most people think any kind of reading is hard, and that's not even me like fucking slandering people. It's just that our fucking brains are melted now.
Reading is the hardest. 50 Shades of Grey.
I was gonna say erotica.
Anyways,
Blue of Noon. Just keep reading. If you don't understand what the fuck that last sentence just said, read to the next sentence, because a lot of the time that clarifies it. If that doesn't clarify it, maybe at some point in time by the end of the chapter will get clarified. Like especially with this denser philosophical or political stuff, psychoanalysis certainly it's true of. And so I don't know, but by the time that you get to the end of the chapter, think about it critically. But also, I don't know, I feel like so many people enter into any kind of thinking with this predetermined kind of, well, how am I going to feel about this? And honestly, it's more fun, and it's funnier.
There we go. Funnier.
English grammar is really funny, huh? To pick up a book by Dinesh D'Souza, which I have read multiple, and read it as if you agree with him until you can't anymore. Because that also allows you to understand better why he's fucking wrong and what dishonest weird shit he's doing to you.
I mean, that is kind of my reading strategy for like Jordan Peterson, for instance. Yeah. I really tried to give him a fair shake until I just
wants
couldn't.
To be your dad.
Until I could no longer give him a fair shake anymore. That's when I really learned to honestly despise him in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Because once I was like, man, even when I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, like you lose that. Hunter Biden's book, I did the same thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give Hunter Biden a fair shake, and then it was like, now you're just trying to like make up shit about why you're not a criminal for what you're doing in Ukraine, or like you refer to some people as crackheads and other people as like tragic victims of addiction. Yourself is the latter, everybody else is the former. I personally, I kind of approach a lot of readings antagonistically. That's how it works for me. But yeah,
I mean, criticality has to come in at some point.
Criticality has to come in at some point, and you should make sure that it comes in at some point. I think we both agree on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the part you can't skip, whether or not you read it affirmatively to begin with. But I'm also, probably the odd one out here in the sense that I really like reading Nick Land. I've read some Evola.
No.
I
don't think you're the odd one out.
I've read a bunch of Dinesh D'Souza.
I not to take away your street cred, but I don't think you're the odd one out here at all, because
okay, good. No, it should be taken from me.
I read lots of.
I mean, bad.
I've read Pete Buttigieg.
That's true, and Peterson and everything for this.
Yeah, I read lots of people that I end up not liking, and I make sure that I like really read and understand what they're talking about. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having, even Heidegger, as we talked about earlier, good on metaphysics.
Yeah, but Heidegger's just dope. His philosophy just rules.
Yeah. And then you gotta like think about like the Nazism stuff. And there's something to be taken
thankfully
into
Nazis don't usually say a whole lot of stuff about like what it is to be as a dying being, as a point in time dissolving into all others.
Thankfully,
except for in a very abstract sense. But
so I guess that's as good any time to end this podcast. Going forward, Dorko Spoogin. What are you going by these days?
Pumpy McPumperstein.
Pumpy McPumperstein is gonna take every other week off because she is working on other projects.
Yeah. And that's also probably going to be a lie. Like I'll probably be here 3 out of 4 weeks.
But we're just gonna like.
But yeah, that's the plan.
Nominally count on you being here every other week from now on. So
or I won't come up to any of them, and I'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll do it next month.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna reorient a little bit how the podcast does its weekly stuff, which is probably that 1 week is gonna be like exclusively current events sort of stuff, because that's I think where I'm strongest. The weeks that Dorko Spoogin is on, we'll do a little bit more of like theory stuff, but can't really guarantee that. But kind of count on it, kind of fluctuating back and forth between that nominally.
The way that history works now, and media and information, there's not going to be any week where we're not going to have current events. So at least I'll learn a little bit of news, because otherwise I just won't.
Yeah,
won't know any of it now.
So that's a little bit of podcast news. Dorko Spoogin, go ahead and give your spiel.
Yeah. So one of the projects, in fact, maybe that's the good way of doing all of my pitches, is that the Trincata workshop, which you guys hear about at the end of every single one of these. I am now trying to more consistently put out these podcasts. So I just did one with Sparkle_fuck from Instagram and Patreon. You can find her on both of those, on Posthuman Ethics and Karen Barad's Brittle Star, which is a chapter out of her Meeting the Universe Halfway, I believe is the name of the text. But both parts 1 and 2 are up for that. So go check that out. If you're a patron, those are up for you immediately. If you're not, there's a little bit of a delay, but the first probably 4 of these are going to eventually be free to the public. So there are still a few more free ones that you can get to sample out. The one preceding this, and again, this is a two-parter, so that was like 3 hours of talking for you folks, which you guys get here every night. But otherwise, we did a really wonderful one with Kayla. I don't know that I'm supposed to say her last name, but a wonderful. She's worked as an editor for one of my favorite poetry publishers, and also has a great education. So a dear friend of mine, as well as Stone Seppuku, who has now switched over to being called Solar Seppuku, I believe. And the three of us are talking about As I Lay Dying. So those two are the ones that are currently up, but upcoming, we have a special guest where we're going to talk about Donna Haraway and the Cyborg Manifesto. We're also going to have a special guest named Michael Deebs, where we're going to talk about a movie double feature sometime very soon. So those are the next two that are currently planned, but frankly, there are more of these planned than I want to think about right now. So please go to patreon.com/Truncata, TRUNCATA. If not for the workshop, then for the podcast that we're releasing. Again, like I said, to the public on probably a bi-weekly basis at this moment, but we're doing what we can. And last little pitch would be, again, to just follow Operaciones _ editorial, I believe. Or is it .editorial?
No, it's
well, I should have this prepped.
It's either or. Hold on.
Yeah, check it out while I talk about this. But Mike and I are both doing writing for them. They are a Costa Rican publisher that's focusing on a lot of this more interesting architectural and ontological philosophy type work.
It's .editorial.
Yeah, Operaciones with a C, not a T.
Yeah.
Operaciones dot editorial. And both of the folks over there are, well, actually everyone over there that I've spoken to is wonderful. And like I said, Mike and I are both working on text for them, and they're really focusing on things that a lot of other publishers aren't focusing on right now.
Oh, also that. Yeah.
Oh, what was that? What would you say?
Oh, I said you were saying they're both and I said too kind.
Yeah, they're both too kind for allowing us to write for them. So yeah. Those are my pitches as far as I know.
John, what do you got?
I've
you fucking schmuck. God, I fucking hate
that sadness, I guess. I don't
I love sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you want
we
to
all
come on
love
the podcast
sadness.
talk about sadness?
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Well,
John has nothing as usual.
Yep.
Good, glad to hear it. So as I always say on the
one last just shout out. I'm sorry. But just looking back at our chat, Luke, again, our Australian velvety voiced, beautiful Vembo.
The Edge of the Pit podcast, apparently.
Exactly. Releasing at the Edge of the Pit podcast. I was texting with them a little bit as we were doing this podcast because I'm an irresponsible piece of shit. But it seems to me that they're working on their next episode. It'll be released next week. They may or may not have a first episode that's ready. Apparently there's some issues that may be slowing that down, but I would be very excited to check that out, and I am very excited to check that out. So you should check it out with us.
Yeah, well, they haven't invited me on yet, so
Same. So never mind. Fuck them. Fuck you, Luke.
No, we love Luke. As for pitches on my end, I was recently on the Doug Zone podcast, which is two very lovely people that I stepped into their world and chat up their podcast. Everything they wanted to talk about, I just like completely diverted away from. And
what did you guys talk about?
So the Doug Zone podcast is kind of loosely based off of the nostalgia critic, who was a guy named Doug, from way back when.
No.
They kind of like review like the old stuff that he did, and
they
like
shit on him, right?
They
have
shit
to,
on him.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was really worried about you for a second.
No. They had an episode lined up where they were gonna shit on him about something. I came into the picture and I just shat up their thing instead.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. But it was a good discussion, and we had a lot of fun with it. They'll probably invite me back on some point because they don't know any better.
Because
for
you're
themselves.
charming and beautiful.
I am
and
so
we love
charming.
you.
And
you look less like the nostalgia critic than I do.
Yeah, extremely less.
Well, I have to.
So check out the Doug Zone podcast, friends of the show, as far as I'm concerned. And then also, as I always say, the Benzo Rehab Dungeon is and always will be a free broadcast. However, if you would like to go to patreon.com/Benzo Rehab Dungeon, you can donate as little or as much as you like. Doesn't get you anything special because this is for the people by the people, and I'm the people, which probably sucks. But anyways, if you like what we're doing here, please do donate. Everything that I keep track of everything that comes in through the Patreon, and I try to put it towards things that better the broadcast, whether it be like programs that I'm using or different hardware that I have access to. Also, I've decided to start actually paying John, which at the end of the month I'll do that for you, buddy.
Oh yeah, thanks. Maybe I can.
You're welcome. Yeah,
eat.
Yeah, you'll be able to buy toilet paper at the very least.
Oh, thank God!
Which you can eat.
Toilet paper
yeah,
forever.
which you can eat. It's fibrous enough. But yeah, no. Trying to turn this into a better production, step by step. So, with that being said, we love you. Please take your medicine.
Please.
Oh no!
Take mine.
A new
too.
outro.
And share some with your friends.
Wonderful.
I'm so sick.